Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. Helen here with Droid Life. So I've got in front of me today a phone that is really, really exciting. At least on a personal level, it's exciting. And those of you who know what this is already are probably excited as well. It is the Sony Xperia Z5 Compact. So it's part of the new Z5 line, which includes a regular Z5, this compact, and then a Z5 Premium, which has this crazy 4K display, and we'll talk about another day. But this is the phone of the lineup that got me excited. And I knew it was going to get me excited before it was ever announced because I was a fan of the Z1 Compact and the Z3 Compact. And the Z3 Compact was actually one of our phones of the year last year. So when I knew Sony was coming out with a new compact, I just had to get it. And so for those not familiar with the compact line, think of it as just a small phone, hence compact, but with flagship level specs. So this isn't a mini. So when Samsung was making mini versions of Galaxies, they were essentially shrinking the phone down, but then they were cutting corners. They were putting terrible cameras in, terrible processors, terrible displays. Everything was bad about mini phones. That's not the case here with Sony. So Sony's compact line, they take their flagship phone, which in this case would be the Xperia Z5, and then they just shrink it. So they keep the flagship level specs and then shrink it down into a phone that, well, for people like me who like smaller phones, we get to have a small phone that doesn't suck. So it's now in-house. I actually picked up two of these. I got a black one for myself and a coral version for my wife because she's also a huge fan of this line of phones. And unfortunately, I did have to import those. So also, if you're not familiar with the Z5 Compact line, you probably don't know this, but these never come to the US in any carrier form. Sony did sell the Z3 Compact unlocked last year, but this one probably won't. That won't happen. So you do have to import these, and so they can be a little expensive, but trust me, they almost always are worth it. So I'm excited to give this thing some run and really put it through some tests and decide if it's a phone that's as good as the compact phones in the past. So anyways, with this video, I just wanted to kind of give you another overview of it, some first impressions, just show it in hand, and then we'll move on to the review process. Unboxing wise, I didn't really want to do one because there isn't much in here. They do give you screen protectors, which I wouldn't advise using. Again, imported it, so there's an international charger and micro USB cable. Not much in there. Sometimes they throw in headphones. This time they didn't. So as a recap, though, of specs, you are looking at, well, the one downside I would argue is this 4.6-inch display. So small display, and it's at 720p. So it's not even full HD 1080p. So that could turn a number of people off. Again, I've used the past two versions, which also had 720p displays, and I had zero complaints. They still look nice. And on battery life, that's also a good thing at 720p. So they do have Snapdragon 810 processor inside. So that's the new high-end Qualcomm chipset that everyone else is using. So again, they didn't cut there. They're using the highest end Qualcomm processor available. Is it going to get a little hot? It has gotten a little hot on me. I don't think it's going to melt my face. So hopefully Sony's kind of figured that out a little bit. It has 2 gig of RAM, 32 gig storage with SD card support, a 2700 milliamp hour battery in here. So it's not the thinnest phone ever made, but it does fit comfortably in hand. And that's a sizable battery for a phone this small, and it could last up to 2 days. And if you're familiar with the Z line at all from Sony, they're almost always kings in the battery department. So I'm expecting this one to be as well. It's waterproof and dust tight at IP65 and IP68. Weighs about 138 grams and is mostly, I do not believe this is any sort of metal. It's just sort of a soft touch plastic, which I actually kind of appreciate when it's this nice of plastic, if that makes any sense. Sort of like the Nexus 5, maybe the HTC One X back in the day when it had that sort of really nice polycarbonate soft touch plastic. That's kind of what this feels like. Again, this is black. There is a coral version I mentioned, white and yellow as well. It has a 23 megapixel camera on the back here. It's a Sony sensor, obviously, and the Z5 line is the first with this sensor as far as I know. And Sony's really excited about how fast the autofocus is, the ISO, its 8x digital zoom, 4K video recording. I mean, it's kind of got everything. Like it should be the ultimate mobile camera. So we'll definitely be giving that a big test. And to launch it, again, Sony has their dedicated camera button, which they tend to do on most of their phones now. So it has a 5 megapixel front camera up top here, over here, if you can see that. LTE connectivity here in the US on T-Mobile and AT&T. NFC has a fingerprint sensor in the home button, which I'll show you. I'm sorry, the power button, which I'll show you in just a second. Sony does some stuff with audio as well. They try to really improve audio on their phone. So when you have headphones plugged in, you should get a really good audio experience. And then you can maybe see this, but they do have, let me unlock it. They do have speakers bedded down here in the bottom, sort of like the Nexus 9 has. So you can see one up top as well right there. So they are hiding the speakers fairly well, so they're not adding any unnecessary bulk. You do have a flap here that houses the SIM and SD card slot. You'll notice no flap over the micro USB port, and yet it's still waterproof, which is kind of awesome. You do have a volume rocker here, which is kind of in an awkward position. If I'm being honest, I do kind of wish it was up here, not down here. Headphone jack up top, microphones all over. This is it. This is the Sony Xperia Z5 Compact. Seriously, I can't even describe to you how excited I am about this phone. So, you'll notice there, let's talk about this fingerprint scanner. So I just actually wrote a post about how impressed I am with this and also the rear placement that we're going to see on the Nexus phones. But you'll watch, so I'll just show you. So this is locked. So if I just put my thumb over that, it unlocks. And so it's in a position where you just touch and hold and leave your thumb there and it unlocks. And I haven't had it error out once yet. And I've probably done this at least 100 times by now. So it's fast. You wake your phone and put your thumb there and it just works. It seems to be a really, really great position where you would just naturally put your hand. So there's that. It's Sony's UI, which isn't terrible anymore. And it's actually improved quite a bit. And they've actually toned it down a ton so that it actually looks quite like stock Android now. There's still some customization stuff, and you can see it looks different in the settings menu. It's a Sony phone. The skin is what it is. You can cover up parts of it you don't like if you want, but it should be fast. It should be a really, really great phone, and I'm excited to give it some run. If you guys do want to see the camera, I will say that the camera has been a little slow for me. I don't know why. You can see I'm tapping on it. It doesn't even want to open. Let's take a picture there. The autofocus is fairly fast. The lighting in here is pretty good. So there you can see it's now autofocusing fast. So on first launch, it's not that fast and it seems to get faster. I will obviously test the heck out of that because cameras are really important these days. And if this phone's going to end up in my pocket at the end of this crazy review period, the camera's got to be excellent. And Sony says it is, so we'll see, and we'll definitely put that through its test. But so far, I'm really excited about this. And we'll have more on it. We'll have a review eventually. We'll share as much we can about this, assuming you guys care. Nice Xperia branding there. But yeah, it's Xperia Z5 Compact. If you guys want to see anything else, we can always do that. Oh, one other thing. I have the LG V10 here, which I'm also going through a review process on. I just have to show you the difference here. So the V10 has a 5.7-inch Quad HD display, and this has a 4.6-inch. Look at that. This thing fits completely inside the display and then some on this phone. It's kind of crazy. So I'm doing like basically the two extremes here at one time in this review process. You can see the black border going all the way around the Z5 Compact. So it's just kind of crazy how different phones like this can be and still exist today, which is a good thing. We like choice. Anyways, just had to show you that. So Z5 Compact in-house. If you guys want us to test anything in particular, we can certainly do that. Look for a review soon. I can't put any guarantees on a date there. We just got a lot going on, but really excited for this. So if you guys have comments or questions, again, let us know. We're Droid Life. Peace.